Hi guys. Okay, so I'm scared of how long this video is gonna be. Okay, I have to do my review once again. I'm in the fridge because obviously the lighting is the best, and I don't have any makeup on, so I look like tired. I just like don't have time to like do this. I've been wanting to do this review for 2 weeks because I literally finished this book like almost 3 weeks ago. And I just haven't had the chance because it's going to be so long because it's so much information. So please be ready, please be prepared. It's just me reading a lot of the book, just like meat and potatoes of like some things that I feel that I needed to share with you about the book. So I've been wanting to read this book, Abduction by Mack, for like 5 years now. I just haven't come across it. It looks like this. This is like how the newest version looks. It took me like 3.5 weeks to read it, only because the information is very dense. And what I mean by that is like, because it's nonfiction and it's like very heavy information, it just takes a while for me to get through it because it's not like a fiction book where I can just breeze past it easily and understand what's going on in the story. This is like people's real lives, real experiences about ETs and contact with them, and I don't know what it is. It's just a lot for the psyche. Like, even though I've been studying this for like 7 years now, like intensely for 7 years now, it's just like a lot for the brain. I don't know how else to. Oh my god, I forgot that it's his birthday today. No, because I literally just woke up like right now and I'm just like trying to wake up. So I forgot it was his birthday. I just got a text. So this is how I wanted to show you how the pages look, because I really appreciate if I can see what a page in the book looks like. So it's like not tiny font really, but it's just like the information is so dense. Do you know what I mean? So it looks like that. I don't know if the font appears tiny. It's not. It's just like normal font. And there's also like 430 pages, which is not a lot, but it's just like, no, it's like 409 or something like that. It's just like a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to say it. I have my notes here. Hold on. I'm going to put the book down. Hold on. Okay. Because I'm going to be reading through my iPad. So I have my iPad. Oh, this is perfect because I need better light. Okay. So I'm just going to read what I have. Like, I literally do it like this, you guys. Like on my notes. I literally. Okay. So just bear with me, okay? It's just random stuff. So just try to piece it together, okay? In order to be receptive to this information, it is necessary for human beings to be able to put aside their preoccupation with daily responsibilities like work, children, marriage, or customary unconsciousness. Nevertheless, Ava insisted it is important for us to overcome our need for power and control on this plane, and to acknowledge that life exists elsewhere, though not necessarily in physical form. One of the problems in reaching us, she said, is that human beings are anchored in the need for physical proof through the 5 senses which we are trying to provide. This is difficult, for we don't consist of physical data, we are not in space-time, we don't have any form, we are all. You could say I or one, it does not matter. We are an offshoot of I, or what you would equal to God. Ava herself is a vehicle through which we can convey that information. As the regression ended, Ava thanked me for letting us be heard and felt afraid to open her eyes. After coming out of the hypnotic state, Ava said that the experience seemed authentic to her. It was me. I know it was me, she said, but it was another me. She spoke of the difficulty integrating the world opened to her by the encounters with her domestic life. What I'm going through now is alone, she said. Ava noted that she had not been open with her husband about the changes taking place. He just gets bits and pieces, she said. I invited her to share what she was going through in my monthly support group, which she appreciated and agreed to do. Then she talked about her daughter's recent experience with the ghost that was flying in her room. As the session was drawing to a close, Ava spoke of continuing numbness in her hands, but otherwise felt well. She described herself as a pioneer and a warrior who likes challenges, but at the same time She feels miserable with myself because I don't understand what's happening. She is reluctant to speak of the new information she is receiving out of fear that others will not understand. I shared some of my own struggles in learning to find ways of speaking about the information that I was receiving. Let's see. This is a quote. When I was aware of what was happening, I was on my back. I don't know, after this experience ended, Ava forced herself to forget it, and until the period when she contacted me did not connect it with her childhood experiences. She believes that she has had approximately 10 encounters since age 18, and that the beings are more interested in the human after at the adult age, not so much as a child. At this point in the session, Ava shifted from the direct reporting of her experiences to speaking of the motives of the aliens and the meaning of the abduction phenomenon based on information they have given to her. Their purpose is to live in unison, she said, not to take anything from us. They want to study us to see how they can communicate. There are different dimensions, worlds existing within worlds, she added, and to go from one to the next is like a roller coaster. You need to speed up the energy. And then you go to another dimension where the reality is different. In the transition from one reality to another, you feel like you're contracting and expanding at the same time. It's like you become on the one hand part of everything, and everything becomes part of you. But at the same time, you contract into an infinitesimal point. But at the same time, I just read that, sorry. This, she said, is absurd because it's two conflicting ideas, but this absurdity contains the secret of moving from one dimension to the next. A shift in Ava's perspective occurred at this point, and for the remainder of the regression, she spoke as if from the perspective of the alien community, using only the pronoun we. It's like I'm not speaking, she said. The intensity of her experience in this realm was physically difficult for her and caused pain in the hands due to blocked energies. The aliens were gone and she saw the frame of a white triangle. It's too intense, she said. They can cause damage to the human body. The beings emanate from different dimensions beyond physical, Ava observed, and they need somebody that's closer to the human being who is able to communicate somehow physically with them. The information they can relay, she said, is of such high intensity that they need something to slow it down. The encounters with human beings do just that, i.e. slow down the transmission of information. Another one, the session had been scheduled before the March 15 experience, but we decided to explore this incident further under hypnosis, as it was so much on Peter's mind. Whole different character now. At the beginning of the regression, we reviewed in greater detail the events of the night and morning leading up to the abduction experience, especially his decision not to go on the walk. Peter had felt a compelling need to be alone, but I'm afraid to think, John, that I was communicated with, that somehow they communicated with me to stay. As he sat by the fire, he just nodded out. It was not clear to Peter whether he fell asleep or not, but he remembered being awake, but in another state of consciousness. It's like a small part of my brain becomes aware, and that's what's alive, he observed. What happens is your body goes totally asleep, and then something clicks on in your brain that connects you with the beings. Then he heard sounds. I can hear the vibration, he said. I know there's a ship behind me. Now he was paralyzed, conscious of what's going on, but not having any control of it. With his eyes closed, Peter felt a presence. Then I look up. There's a being standing on... I skipped some of it. And then I go right back to this part. It's the next page still. What Peter felt they got was information. There's a thing inside of me that they put in to see what's going on and to track your memory, that somehow records everything in the mind. His notion was that there was a little black chip in his brain, perhaps from a previous abduction, and that the flexible instrument, which looked metallic, long and thin, retrieves the object, the chip. Then they have a movable panel which reads or deciphers the information. Peter has a sense that the beings are interested in what he learned at the workshop and want to see if I'm a worthy leader. It's my reactions to situations they want to know that are recorded in my brain, that are recorded on this thing of theirs. I have to add, there's a lot of, I like the light up here. There's a lot of hypnosis sessions where the clients, they know that there's like a recording device in their brain or like in their body, and like their purpose of being on Earth is to like monitor and gather this data of like the real world experience of being on Earth. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think I've mentioned this before on my videos. Kind of like almost like your whole purpose in life was to, because you are simultaneously living as an ET on a ship, your consciousness chose to experience human body and physicality on Earth to be a gatherer of data as to how life is on the planet here. So all that data is getting transmitted to them so that they can monitor it and I guess better understand us without having to abduct us, if that makes sense. I forgot what, sorry, I'm gonna close the door because I don't want to restart the video. Hold on, I know it's so weird and funny. It's just, I don't want to have to put pause on the thing and then just, you know, close the door or whatever. Okay, at this point in the session, the timbre of Peter's voice changed to a kind of monotonous droning, and he shifted to speaking from the alien perspective. We, he said, want to study the chemical reactions of the brain and how people will react in order to know when it is time to be present. For as we measure the impulses, the voice continued, we will know at what level the shock will come in, so we will be better able to control it, so we will be in tune with the human beings as they go through this shock process, as they go through the unfolding of seeing us for the first time. Returning to his normal voice, Peter said that the beings are working with us, measuring what is in our brains, so they will be able to tell how we will react to their manifesting before us. Okay, now I'm on the next page. He said he felt he was being primed for something. This has been going on since I was a little kid. I asked him about his leadership role, and he spoke of a process occurring throughout the world, whereby common knowledge of the abduction process was developing, and that he was one of the people who would stand up and be comfortable with the possibility of alien beings coming to this planet. Human beings all over the globe have been abducted, Peter said. And these individuals, especially certain leaders, will help reduce the shock that would occur when the alien beings manifest themselves on Earth. The monitoring that he described was measuring to what degree consciousness can become available. Memory of abduction experiences would open up, Peter said, at a rate consistent with the shock that he and others could integrate of knowing of the being's existence. They were excited on this occasion, he said, because I had reached a certain level. Peter did not recall the specifics of his return from the ship. He was put down on the deck outside the house, and then the tall one walked him through the door. Peter sat down in the chair, put the blanket over him. I looked at the being, and he looked at me. I sat in the chair and just went to sleep, and the next thing I know, I wake up and look at my watch. After the regression, we spoke of the channeling of the voice that had come through during the session. He recalled that this had begun 4 years ago in the Caribbean, and that it feels like an expansion of his own energy, which allows the alien energy to come through him. This can occur, he said, when he can surrender my mind, surrender my ego. He, like other abductees who have this capacity, does not altogether trust the information he receives in this way, but does feel that it's coming from a higher consciousness, from the spiritual plane. It was occurring in present time, he said. It's like live broadcasting. As the session was drawing to a close, Peter spoke of the possibility that the recognition that there's beings on other worlds and there are other life forms could help us look in a different way at how we deal with one another on the planet. I agree. A subtle shift on this planet was occurring, Peter said, which is bringing about changes in how we think of who we are and the way we live. By them showing up, it's going to make us appreciate what we have. His own task, he said, was to surrender to that divine plan. It's almost like I feel like the aliens are watching out for me. They've got a plan for me, he said at the end. He did not fear the changes that were occurring, though in many ways this process was taking over his life. Okay, so fast forward, I don't even know what page this is now. Peter is older, fear is mounting, and he feels like he is avoiding something. It's really on the surface. He spoke of major changes that the beings have told him are going to take place on this planet. They have the ability to see into the future, he said, and wish to help us to avoid what is about to transpire. John, this is too weird for me, he said, as more images of future possibilities flooded him. I encouraged Peter to breathe deeply and to permit whatever information came to the surface to do so without judgment or interpretation. His fear became more intense again, and I urged him to go back inside, let his body sink deeper, relax, and name whatever was wanting to express itself, including the judgments themselves. Following pages, they need us to expand our accepted reality for them to be able to communicate with us, for them to be able to come here, Peter added. It's an evolution of consciousness. Playing the devil's advocate, I suggested that perhaps they just wanted his, I'm not even going to say the word, SPERM, so they could go off and propagate on their planet, and it was only a spiritual conceit to think they were concerned about our evolving consciousness. He objected strongly to this. There's no question about it. I know that they are helping me, expanding my reality, and they want me to do that in order for them to communicate with me. They need my consciousness to expand. They need more of my brain to be awake, Peter continued. For what purpose, I asked. So they can interact with our planet. So they can interact with our life force, he replied. Toward what end, I insisted. So they can prevent our beings from becoming extinct, he said. Our interest and theirs seemed to come together as Peter spoke of the beings' vested interest in our planet and their unwillingness, like an older person seeing a child who's about to make grave mistakes, to let the child hurt himself. We're heading towards some cataclysm, he said, and they want to help us. But until abductees come to the surface and can accept it and live with it, they can't do it. My last question involved the source of the beings' intention. Was it their own, or was there some sort of spiritual force that's behind everything? Peter's feeling was that they are acting through a greater power, but he did not know what that might be. He has the sense that these are real physical beings that have mastered an awareness of time or space or whatever. They can see what's going on. They can see what the possibilities are, and they're here to help us. It's almost like steer us to prevent us from hurting ourselves. Okay, another thing I wrote, the beings fear us, Peter said, because they don't have the, I want to call it the killer instinct that we have, and the ability to fight and kill each other. That's what they're afraid of. That is the most terrifying thing for them, our ability to hate. It's like my rage that I have at them for doing these experiments is so foreign to them. They can't understand it. They're afraid of us. They're trying to study a way into us. They're aware of our anger and hatred and our ability to hurt them. Ew, oh my God. Stop. That bug came out of nowhere. Why do they always come to the nose? That's so disgusting. Sorry, guys. Where did that even come from? They're aware of our anger and hatred and our ability to hurt them. They have evolved out of knowing how to fight. It's almost as if they're so open that they know we can hurt them more easily. They want our love and how it is we love and care and have such compassion. They also are terrified of our anger and our ability to hate and kill and all that stuff, and they're trying to get the two apart. They are trying genetically to take the higher human qualities and separate them from the lower human qualities, and somehow I want to say reincorporate them into our race. The whole thing with the SPERM and the reproduction is really trying to help us evolve to the higher qualities of humanness. So it sounds like they don't mention that term here, obviously, because this was from like the 60s or 70s. No, actually, I think this took place in the 80s or 90s, sorry. But obviously, I think they're trying to talk about the Sasani or the Sasani beings, which are the hybrids, obviously. It sounds like they were trying to put those traits into them for the reason of gaining the higher quality human aspects and not the warlike tendencies that we have. Hold on, I'm going to close the door before the light goes out again. I know this is so funny and weird, but hold on. I'm trying to go through this fast because I don't want the fridge to have any issues. It's not going to have any issues. They could not manifest more openly now on Earth, for we might choose to attack them. If we were to react out of a military place or an anger place, then everything would be lost. So they're very cautious. They can't come here. I asked Peter how our loving or open qualities might serve the beings. They are human too, he suggested, and in their own evolution have followed the path of almost rational intellectualizing and lost much of their emotions, and they want to get that back. And it's through our planet and through our race. They are humanoid, Peter said, and we've evolved from the same place, but we've stayed in our emotions, and our emotions have ruled the planet. How we react as a race comes from our emotions. In their evolution, they chose to react from intellect or from mentality. They're willing to share their intellectual growth with us if we can share our emotions with them. But at the same time, they're afraid of the destructive part of our emotions. It could be a beautiful marriage almost, Peter observed. In his presentation itself, he said that his journey had enabled him to discover his place in the universe. He had felt abandoned by God and reduced to nothing more than a SPERM sample. Yet after his regressions, he had feelings of tremendous expansiveness. In his total aloneness, he had discovered his oneness with God in spirit. The abduction experience, he said, allowed me to feel this aloneness, yet to feel totally connected with that one individual source. He spoke of the likeness of God among peoples all over the earth who share a common humanity and all struggle to understand the mysteries of the spirit world and our connection with it. Further, he went on, I began to know on the most cellular level that we are not alone in the universe, that God created many creatures in his likeness. The alien beings are not so unlike ourselves. They too struggle. They too question existence. They too are inquisitive. They nourish themselves. They procreate and they pass on. They wish to be accepted for who they are. God created a lot more in this universe than we can ever imagine, he continued. Like thousands of others like myself who have had the experience have seen God's creation in other forms. I know in the deepest part of myself that the beings are like us in many ways. Through his abductions, Peter concluded he has discovered, that I am connected to a creation process that is far greater than anything I have ever been asked to imagine in any of my previous exposures to any spirituality. I asked Peter to say more about that. He said that there was, this is a whole different thing. He said that there was a battle going on over who was going to get control of the earth between beings from all over the universe, not only the beings I'm associated with. This has been going on for perhaps 2,000 years, he said, but was now all coming to a head. It was not quite the same as good and bad, Peter explained, but rather different possibilities of going forward. The whole reproduction process in which he was participating was playing an integral part in this unfolding. Peter spoke of prophecy, revelations, and people being taken up as in the biblical raptures. But to him, this had nothing to do with religion, for there were ships in place for that to happen. He has looked into this black void of the future and seen the earth below, with people going up. It's not so much seeing it as knowing it, he said. At the same time, he felt the loss of everybody I've ever known and every connection I've ever had to earth. Peter objected to the word rapture, preferring to speak of the beings coming to help us to the next place of evolution instead of being the rapture. Lines were being drawn, spokes or tunnels through which people would pass into the future. There will be a shift in time, and it will be like a veil. Hold on, I thought that was a bug. There will be a shift in time, and it will be like a veil that people are going to walk through. The species of man will continue, Peter said, but in a different form. The earth is going to open up to a place of interaction with other beings, including the hybrid children now being created. Once the humans who are part of this plan move through time and through the shift of consciousness, there will be no anger or hatred or resentment among abductees who are shown their children. That which you feel is cruel, he continued, is just the human mind trying to understand. So all the abductees that feel angry towards these children that are theirs will apparently not feel it anymore. On August 26, Peter and I did an eighth regression, which provides a kind of postscript to his case. In the session, we explored an abduction experience that had occurred a few weeks earlier at the end of his vision quest in Montana. He remembered a deeply emotional and sexually exciting connection with his alien partner who had assumed a kind of appealing hybrid form. This was no longer simply a pragmatic exchange, a bringing together of SPRM and eggs to create a new species. It was an enjoyable union, awkward in some ways, between a fully embodied human being and another being obviously unversed in the densities of sexual love. Yet Peter felt disgust and revulsion after the experience ended, and at the time it occurred, and once again when he was coming out of the trance state in which the experience was remembered. What this suggests is that the alien-human relationship is something far more complex and complete than a program of just hybrid procreation. It appears to be a halting, difficult attempt on the part of an intelligence of which we know very little to create a merger of two species who seem to need and long for something each has to offer the other. It is an experiment which, as far as we can determine, is as formidable, frustrating, and demanding as anything its creator has ever undertaken. For it involves nothing less than bringing races of beings together whose principal homes until now have been in separate ontological dimensions. Yet, to make the matter still more complex, there is evidence in Peter's reports and those of other abductees that we and the alien beings have derived or split away from the same primal source, and that our deep longing for one another grows out of the desire to rediscover a lost brotherhood, to return to one another and thus come closer once again to the cosmic home from which, in the experience of Peter and other abductees, we both once emerged. This is a quote. I don't know who's quoting this right now. I don't have any problems facing the little ones that are so blissful, or the taller ones, but the ugly ones scare and repulse me. He said, the reptile-faced, insect-bodied robots were brought forth by the female entity to perform specific functions. She is like a doctor, philosopher, psychologist of sorts. This is an operation, but it is more than merely a physical examination, he says. The instrumentation hurts the nerves, he said, but he added, it is not the cutting, that is not the hurt. It is your own fear that you do not know what is happening, because although it has happened before you, and you sense this, you forget previous times to some respect, although memory is awakened during your contact with them, and you see these robotic machines coming at you that look so weird and strange. Nausea, Carlo said, comes when the fear becomes too intense, particularly in relation to the reptilian machine. I see it as this creature that scares me and I get nauseated, and the nausea is from the fear. It is not from what they are doing. The robotic creature, like the female type entity, has a pink or rose haze around it. I'm afraid of it. It is monstrous. It has an insectian quality in its body with reptilian facial features. It comes directly at you. I look away. It is like a larva inside the leather. A hard, dark, scary machine. We see it this way because we are interpreting its surface as flesh, which seems to be a leather-metal combination. The robot is an operational functioning mechanism, perhaps a biomechanical creature. It is a mental construct of theirs. They can form it, and then we can perceive it. Very interesting. But in Arthur's case, thoughts and physical reality seem inseparable, as if one could give rise to the other in a generative fashion that we do not understand. Perhaps consciousness itself represents a kind of creative source, a ground of being from which both thought and the physical world ultimately derive. I also wonder about what is cause and what is effect in Arthur's abduction experience. Did he have the experience because his psyche was open to such realities? Or did the abduction encounters themselves, going back perhaps to earliest childhood and possibly before, we have no past life memories in Arthur's case, bring about the flexible and visionary state of his mind? It may be that the very category of cause and effect is too linear and is probably not useful in such instances. More appropriate would be a way of thinking that looked upon Arthur and his experiences as interconnected in a way that could only be looked upon as a whole. Hold on, I'm going to close the door again to get more cold into it. Okay, sorry. I just want there to be enough cold going on in here. Okay, I think I have like 10 more minutes. Abductees may be found to have had virtually lifelong encounters with alien beings and UFOs, although in certain cases like Ed and Arthur, a single abduction event has been of particular importance. The abduction experiences begin with a shift in consciousness on the part of the abductee, which may be signaled by a hum or other odd sound, by the appearance of a light for which no usual source can be found, by the sense of a presence or even the sight of one or more alien beings, or by a strong vibratory sensation in the body, as in Sheila's electrical dreams. This change in consciousness may be subtle, but abductees are always sure that they are not dreaming or imagining. Rather, they experience that they have moved into another reality, but one that is nevertheless altogether real. This is a waking reality, but a different one. As one abductee described this shifts to me, it is as if the alien beings break through a kind of screen, revealing a new reality to the experiencer. I think that this is just like the ripping of a dimension. That's just what I think it is. After this, the experiencer is taken by some force, often a beam of light or some other energy, at the disposal of the alien beings, out of or away from the house or other place he or she has been, through walls, doors, or closed windows if necessary. Experiencers may see their home and the earth itself recede before them as they are transported into a spacecraft, which is commonly described as metallic and saucer or cigar-shaped, and which is revealed to be the source of the light that they saw initially. Once inside the craft, the abductees see varying numbers of alien beings as described in Chapter 2, who are engaged in a rather business-like way in preparing to administer various procedures. The inside of the craft is generally rather cold, emotionally and physically, sometimes with a musty smell, with computer-like consoles along the walls. The walls tend to be white and curved, although black floors are sometimes described. And remember from the other books that I've reviewed with you guys that these ships are organic. I don't know what model of the ship these experiencers had, but the ones from the Dolores Cannon tapes, are organic for the most part. I think, remember, meaning like they're alive and that they like connect to your consciousness, and that's how they're piloted. Quite a few abductees have spoken to me of their sense that at least some of their experiences are not occurring within the physical space-time dimensions of the universe as we comprehend it. They speak of aliens breaking through from another dimension through a slit or a crack in some sort of barrier, entering our world from beyond the veil. Abductees, some of whom have little education to prepare them to explain about such abstractions or odd dislocations, will speak of the collapse of space-time that occurs during their experiences. They experience the aliens, indeed their abductions themselves, as happening in another reality, although one that is as powerfully actual to them as, or more so than, the familiar physical world. Sarah, who is one of the most educated individuals in my sample, spoke perhaps for many experiencers when she described one of her abductions as dimensional merging. You can't really evaluate it in the language and physical descriptive terms of this dimension. She said, because it really wasn't happening here. It was half happening here and half happening somewhere else. Catherine, in a regression in January 1993, some weeks after the last one I reported on, spoke of a place she remembered between times of embodiment on Earth. In that place, bodies were not solid, appearing only in a kind of energy outline. This was from a long time ago, she explained. This was before any of us had lives here. This place is in a totally different universe. It's not in our Earth space-time dimension. A young woman abductee I will call Anne tried to explain to me during a regression her sense of converging timeframes that occurs in her abductions. Anne felt as if she were functioning simultaneously in different times. All times can come to one place, she said. This is real, it is not philosophical, she insisted. I can really go to another time frame, and my experiences can pull me from other time frames to here. That literally, I'm almost done, guys. That literally is so common in so many abduction experiences. It's crazy. I'm telling you, like, people on the earth are living simultaneous lives. We're all living simultaneous lives because all time is now. However, some people are aware of these other lives occurring at the same time, while most of us are not aware of it because it's just like not meant for us to be aware of it. It's just gonna clash with our daily life. But I think the people that are aware of it, I don't know if it's by accident or not, or intentional, but it's literally to open our collective consciousness to the possibility, not the possibility that there is more, but the fact that there is more out there. Human beings are not lords of the earth, they realize, but children of the cosmos who must find their way to live in harmony with all manner of creatures on the earth and elsewhere. This is a terrifying lesson in humility that opens the psyche to a wider perception of the universe, including the beings and entities that inhabit it. Abduction seemed to be concerned primarily with two related projects: changing human consciousness to prevent the destruction of the Earth's life, and a joining of two species for the creation of a new evolutionary form. So the Greys and the humans merging to become the Sasani, or the Sasani, whatever you want to call it. I am often asked why, if UFOs and abductions are real, the spaceships do not show up in more obvious form. Why don't they land on the White House lawn is the reigning cliche. The most popular answer to this question among those who take the phenomenon seriously is that the aliens do not dare to manifest themselves more directly. Government leaders would panic, even though a lot of the government is obviously aware of it, might attack them, and surely would not know how to avoid scaring the rest of us. I believe that there is a better answer to this question, one that is more consistent with the information contained in this book. The intelligence that appears to be at work here simply does not operate that way. It is subtle, and its method is to invite, to remind, to permeate our culture from the bottom up as well as the top down, and to open our consciousness in a way that avoids a conclusion that is different from the ways we traditionally require. It is an intelligence that provides enough evidence that something profoundly important is at work, but it does not offer the kinds of proof that would satisfy an exclusively empirical, rationalistic way of knowing. It is for us to embrace the reality of the phenomenon and to take a step toward appreciating that we live in a universe different from the one in which we have been taught to believe. The abduction phenomenon, it seems clear, is about what is yet to come. It presents, quite literally, visions of alternative futures, but it leaves the choice to us. That is everything that I have for you about Abduction by John Mack. There is so much more. If you guys liked those meat and potatoes or those nuggets, whatever you want to call them, then you need to read the book. You need to go into it with an open mind, or you can go into it with not an open mind, and your mind's going to be open for you either way, whether you like it or not. And just sit with the information and just think about it. If you don't believe in this, just like, all these people are not making this stuff up, you guys. Like, come on now. That is all for today. That was a lot. I know, that was a lot. So, and it's all over the place because I'm just giving you like the bullet points. That was like halfway. That was literally, I started giving you guys information from like page 300, and there's still like before that 200 pages that you guys that I didn't even give you like meat and potatoes for. So that was literally the second half of the book that I was just telling you about. So you have to read the book. It's so good. Prioritize it, and your whole reality is gonna be shaken up, you guys. I already knew a lot about this stuff, obviously, because I've read probably like 30 or 40 UFO books by now. Maybe more, I don't know, within the past like 7 years. So I already know a lot of this information. It's just good to have it being repeated and reminded about, that there really is so much going on that we're just not aware of. And yeah, everything's changing, and we just have to see what the final result of all this stuff is going to be in our lifetime. I think it'll happen, but we have to change. Like, we have to be better, because if we're not willing to change and make things better, then this is going to take so much longer, and it's just probably going to be harder for us if we don't do the work, the inner work, and better ourselves. Because, like, what do you mean? Like, I just read to you that part. It's just like, what do you mean that you want the aliens to land? Like, you can't even treat your own other humans that look different than you with respect and like the same as you. Like, what do you think you're gonna do when an entire different species that looks different, humanoid still, but just completely different than humans, like, what are you gonna do to them? You're gonna attack them. You're gonna think they're different than, and all these things. So like, obviously they're not gonna land in a giant spaceship in the White House lawn. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, maybe the evil ones might, I don't know. They're already blended in within society, so that doesn't even matter. But yeah, that's my thoughts and stuff that I wanted to share with you from Abduction by John Mack. Let me know if you guys have read it, and let me know if you do end up reading it from my video. Have a great day.